The old cinema stood on a quiet, desolate street, its presence almost forgotten by time. Its chipped paint and faded marquee hinted at a forgotten glory, a time when it was the heart of the town. Locals whispered of a curse, a dark tale that had been passed down through generations. The curse lingered in the air like stale popcorn and dust, a constant reminder of the cinema's haunted past. The curse, they said, clung to certain seats that seemed to hold a sinister power. These were the seats where people vanished without a trace, leaving behind only whispers and fear. The grand cinema had been closed for decades, its doors sealed shut to keep the curse contained. Its ornate interior, once a spectacle of beauty and grandeur, now lay shrouded in darkness and decay. Cobwebs draped the velvet curtains like ghostly shrouds, adding to the eerie atmosphere. The plush seats, some ripped and torn, stood in silent rows as if waiting for an audience that would never return. They were witnesses to a terrible secret, a secret that had been buried deep within the walls of the cinema, a secret that refused to stay buried, haunting the cinema and the town. No one dared to enter, not anymore. The fear was too great, the memories too painful. The cinema stood as a looming reminder of the town's fear, a monument to the darkness that lay within. It was a monument to the unexplained and the unsettling, a place where reality and nightmare intertwined. And the curse, it seemed, was very real, a chilling presence that could still be felt by those who dared to remember. Lourdes and Lena, best friends since childhood, decided to explore the abandoned cinema. They were drawn to the mystery, the thrill of the unknown. Armed with flashlights and nervous laughter, they slipped through a broken window. The air inside was thick with dust and the silence of ages. They found the infamous seats in the balcony, row 13. The numbers were barely visible, scratched into the worn armrests. Lourdes shivered. A cold draft seemed to emanate from the seats. Lena, ever the skeptic, scoffed at her friend's fear. Suddenly, the beam of Lourdes' flashlight flickered and died. She gasped, her heart pounding. Then Lena's light went out too. The girls were plunged into absolute darkness. A soft whisper seemed to slither around them. It was a whisper that spoke of shadows and sorrow. Panic seized Lourdes. "Lena! Lena, where are you?" she cried out, her voice trembling. Her words were swallowed by the oppressive silence. There was no answer, only the faint echo of her own terror. Lourdes fumbled for her flashlight, her hands shaking. She found it and frantically clicked it on. The weak beam sputtered back to life, illuminating the empty seats around her. Lena was gone. Lourdes called out again and again, her voice rising in desperation, but her friend had vanished. A wave of dizziness washed over Lourdes. She stumbled back, her foot catching on something. She fell, landing hard on the cold, unforgiving floor. As her vision blurred, she thought she saw them. Dark figures, tall and shadowy, rising from the cursed seats. Then everything went black. The disappearance of Lourdes and Lena sent shockwaves through the small town. Fear, like a virus, spread from person to person. The whispers started again, louder this time, laced with urgency and dread. The cinema, they said, had claimed 2 more souls. Michael, Lena's older brother, refused to believe his sister was gone. He remembered her stories about the cursed seats, dismissed them as childish fantasies. Now, he wasn't so sure. He decided to investigate. He wouldn't rest until he found his sister. Emily, Lourdes' best friend, shared Michael's determination. They joined forces, united in their grief and their need for answers. Together, they vowed to uncover the truth behind the curse and bring their loved ones home. Section 5. A Town in Fear. The disappearances continued. Each one fueled the growing hysteria in the town. Parents forbade their children from even looking at the old cinema. Businesses closed their doors after dark. The once peaceful community was now held captive by fear. The townspeople, desperate for protection, turned to ancient rituals and superstitions. They hung garlic on their doors and painted symbols on their windows. They held vigils outside the cinema, praying for the safe return of their loved ones. But the curse, it seemed, was relentless. The police were baffled. They had no leads, no suspects, no explanation for the disappearances. The town felt cursed, trapped in a nightmare with no end in sight. The old cinema stood as a grim reminder of their powerlessness. combing through Old Town records, Meredith stumbled upon a chilling discovery. 50 years ago, the Grand Cinema had been consumed by a devastating fire. Many people trapped inside had perished. Among them were the owner's children, last seen sitting in the balcony, row 13. Meredith realized the significance of row 13, the cursed seats. Could it be that the spirits of those lost in the fire were somehow responsible for the disappearances? And if so, what were they seeking? Kyle, initially dismissive, was forced to reconsider his skepticism. The evidence was compelling. The spirits, consumed by their own tragic fate, were reaching out from beyond the grave. But why? What was it they wanted? Armed with this newfound knowledge, Kyle and Meredith returned to the cinema. They knew they had to confront the spirits, to understand their pain, and hopefully to appease them. They entered the theater, their flashlights cutting through the oppressive darkness. As they approached row 13, the air grew heavy, the temperature plummeting. The shadows seemed to dance and writhe, taking on menacing shapes. They felt a presence, cold and mournful, surrounding them. "We know what happened," Kyle said, his voice echoing in the silence. "We know you're trapped here. We want to help you find peace." A low moan filled the air. Then a voice filled with sorrow and despair whispered from the darkness, "Help us remember, help us be free."